I put my boat in Shelter Bay Marina to figure out the Panama Canal. Shelter Bay is really conveniently located right next to the Caribbean entrance of the canal, and it's a big stopping off point for sailors who are making the crossing. While at the marina, I made 2 good friends, and we went on a bunch of adventures together, including one visit to a secret beach around the corner. My first friend Nina is a German sailor sailing with her boyfriend on their boat named Sea Tramp. They also have a YouTube channel, and they left from Europe and crossed the Atlantic.
You like it?
Yeah, but where are the crocodiles?
My second friend is a Norwegian single-hander who's sailing on his Bavaria 55. He also crossed the Atlantic to get over to Panama.
Norwegian guided tour from this amazing secret beach of Shelter Bay.
His boat's name is Be Free, and he also has an awesome YouTube sailing channel. The hike is going well. We've already lost one member of our hiking team. He told us to sit in the shade.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna sit on these rocks in the sun and wait for To get to the secret beach, you need to wade through a bunch of really disgusting mud and mangroves that are potentially full of crocodiles and sort of bushwhack through a bunch of interesting foliage, but the beach is totally worth it once you get there. It's completely private. There's no one else there and no other houses. This is real Norwegian secrets here. Did you know Norwegians use coconuts to start their fires? Fun fact number 1. We put some sandwiches on the embers of the fire and enjoyed a nice hot lunch. Yum! Seeing the open horizon from the beach made us all really miss being out on anchor on our boats, so the next day we decided to go for a sail on Nina and Mario's boat, Sea Tramp. Getting the boat prepped for sea can be really stressful, but we were equal to the challenge. The boat Nina and Mario crossed the Pacific on is the Bavaria. They sailed through a lot of the Caribbean and then headed over to Panama with the goal of going through the canal and heading into the South Pacific. It's really cool to meet other sailors who are going in the same direction that I am, because it means I'll have friends once I get to the other side. Even though we might part ways soon, we'll meet up again somewhere in the Pacific.
Thank you for this beautiful sail.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Cheers! Good job!
One for the boat. Tomas's boat is named Be Free. He's an amazing host, loves having people over, and makes delicious dinners for large groups of people. We're having dinner on the Be Free. Here's our master chef. Over here we have the magical oven on the stove. Fish!
With pesto.
With pesto and shrimp.
Some garlic and chili marinated shrimps.
And we have our new friends. They're on a catamaran, anchored out. They're the pirates here. They're not.
Show the photo on your phone. Whatever that thing is that is anchored outside now.
There's a pirate ship anchored outside?
Where's the... I don't know. There's no good photos. Who took a photo? It wasn't me. Oh.
They are this kind of theater group. They actually crossed Atlantic in this.
On the menu for today is pesto-filled fish fillets, complete with vegetables on top and a nice side dish of shrimp and potatoes. It's definitely just a regular meal on the Be Free.
So what's up, Holly?
Oh, well, you know, I thought I was invited over to free dinner the other night, and then when I saw my bill, I realized I couldn't pay for it, so Tomas just has me washing all the dishes from the last week. Another cool thing about having good friends in the marina is that we always help each other out when one of us needs to do a project that they could use an extra hand for, especially with single-handed sailors, and I will say that I get helped way more than I help, so it's a win for me.
Holly!
Welcome to my boat. Would you like a turkey?
Yeah.
Today, Tomas needs to go to the top of his mast to check out some stuff on the masthead, so I told him that I would push the button on his electric winches and shoot him up to the top. And in exchange for that, once he was finished, he sent me up in the bosun's chair so that I could take a look at the whole marina from the vantage point of a really tall mast. It's so cool! After we played around aloft, we went down to the little meeting area at Shelter Bay where they were having their once-a-week swap fest, which is a really cool thing where any sailors can bring things that they want to trade or sell, and they just put them at their tables and name prices, and everyone pokes around and looks at the stuff that there is to buy. Even though I didn't end up buying anything, it was a fun way to meet people and see all of the crazy equipment that sailors tote around with them. Shelter Bay does a pretty good job at organizing little community events and encouraging sailors to meet each other. They do a once-a-week Sunday barbecue where you bring whatever you want to throw on the grill. This week we made grilled pizzas, which were absolutely delicious.
Behind the scenes shoots.
I'm hungry.
You gotta base that on honestly.
I'm already full.
Today I'm setting off for Bocas del Toro in my little boat. Me and Tomas are both going to sail our boats up there and meet once we get up and hang out for a week or two before I head back to the States. I'm really excited to finally get out of the marina and actually start sailing my boat again. It's going to be awesome. One thing I didn't realize about the sail from Shelter Bay to Bocas is that you're against about 3.5 knots of current, and I was close-hauled, which meant that I had to tack back and forth. So even though I was going pretty fast through the water, my speed over ground was less than 3 knots. I had a pretty rough night of it. There were a ton of squalls, and I hardly slept at all, but even with all of that said, I was just so happy to be back on the water again. Sitting in a marina can be really hard no matter how nice the marina may be. The next morning when I woke up, the wind had basically completely died, so I had the motor on, and I was lying down below when I heard a really horrible noise. I just lost my engine. I was down below, sort of half asleep. Luckily it's light outside, although probably doesn't really matter. And I heard it go. It was making its little brrrr noise, and then all of a sudden it went brrrr, and I ran out on deck because my first thought was, fuck, I'm out of diesel. I don't have to bleed it. And by the time I got up there, it had already turned itself off. So I checked fuel, full fuel tanks, full oil. It wasn't overheated. The sea strainer looked fine. The only thing I can think might have happened is that, because I was in some big waves yesterday, maybe something got dislodged from the bottom of the fuel tank and is clogging the fuel intake, but I just don't know enough about engines to troubleshoot it without probably fucking it up even more. So I have turned around. Luckily, to get back it's only 30 miles and I have the current with me. You can probably hear that there's no wind, but I'm drifting in the right direction. I'm not drifting onto the lee shore, which is good. And I should be in by tonight, I think, if all goes well. Fingers crossed. Always an adventure. So I managed to get a very small cell signal because I'm actually not that far from shore, scarily, and got a hold of my friend Thomas on Be Free, who we were both gonna leave in our boats to meet in Bocas, but he has a giant boat that goes really fast, so he didn't leave until today. And luckily he hasn't left yet, so I was able to get a hold of him, and he's gonna come out and, I don't know, do something magical. The magical thing ended up being that he actually came all the way out to my boat and gave me a tow back to Shelter Bay Marina, which was a lifesaver because honestly it would have taken me so long to get there on my own. It felt really good to be a little bit stuck in the middle of the ocean, but know that I have a really good friend who's willing to come and tow my boat for me. It feels cool and I feel super lucky. So I'm getting a tow now. I'm going 7.2 knots, which I think is some of the fastest this boat has ever seen. It's pretty lumpy seas. It was interesting getting the monkey's fist over between the boats because mine is just on a wind vane, which means it steers in giant snaky S-curves. So it's really hard for Tomas to get lined up with me when he didn't really know what my boat was going to do, because obviously you don't want to get too close, but he got it on the first throw, all hooked up. Life is good, and I'm heading back to the marina.
Be free. Yeah, good afternoon. I'm asking for permission to enter the breakwater. I'm towing another sailboat into Shelter Bay Marina. Over.
Okay, be free. Very good afternoon. Welcome to Panama again, sir. Okay, just requesting you. Be safe at the breakwater entrance, sir. Right now we're in the absence of vessel Velsheda. Velsheda is clearing on the breakwater. So be taking the best judgment for you to let us go free as you proceed to your destination. Over.
Yes, thank you, sir. I will stand by on 12 and keeping a close watch. Over.
Since I obviously couldn't get to the marina under my own power, we tied the boats together, hip to hip, and the way we did this was Thomas's brainchild. I was just the manual labor making off cleats, but we tied them with 2 springs and then 2 breast lines, and he docked both of our boats in one slip. We held Shelter Bay Marina, and they were very accommodating. We ended up in the slip for big boats since we were basically a catamaran. I'm trying to get Shelter Bay Marina to not charge me for staying in that slip because technically I was never touching the dock, and maybe I'm just a giant dinghy to be free, or perhaps just a asymmetrical ama to a catamaran, but we'll see. I still have to talk to billing and see what they have to say about that. Since we had both the boats tied together, we decided it was a great opportunity to have some friends over and have a little bit of fun to make up for the fact that we were back in the marina and not on our way to Bucas. After we had our fun, we decided it was time to get serious and take a look at my engine problems.
So we are working very hard on the engine problem.
As you can see.
And we got in some specialists from Jamaica.
Tell me about it.
And for the moral support, we have Rudy.
Hi.
And the owner of that steam machine.
Tell me.
So what are you doing?
Polishing.
Polishing.
Making the bright work bright again.
That's amazing.
Yes.
It looks like new. That's my crazy neighbor. With really beautiful shorts and...
Oh yeah, these are my dress clothes. I was invited to lunch on the V3, so I thought I would look nice.
Right.
Hi!
Lunchtime.
So...
Oh, this vodka's strong. Whew. Oh, I've been in here for hours. I was hoping someone would hear my calls for help. Whew, it's hot in there.
So what are we doing?
I don't know. We are looking at my engine from the back. Thomas is helping me figure out what's wrong with my engine. We think it's a problem with the fuel, so we're going to check the filter, the oil-water separator, and possibly bleed the tank and start over with fuel. So this is my guest bunk usually, but I've just been filling it with stuff because I don't have guests yet. No one seems to want to stay here.
But what about all the rabbits that jumped out here?
What rabbits?
Holly.
Yeah.
Do you have a number 8 torch? So now we have attached a fuel pump to your tank so we can take the fuel out of your tank and clean it. So if we can get the power.
Since I don't have a cigarette plug outlet on my boat, I'm just hardwiring the cables from the fuel pump into a bus that I have on the inside of one of my lockers, and we're running those cables out into the fuel pump. We have determined that the problem is dirty fuel. The fuel water separator is crazy, the oil filter looks ridiculous, so we are just pumping the old fuel out until it's empty, and then we're going to refill it again with new fuel and cycle that through a couple times. And hopefully that's going to solve the problem. You can see how dirty the fuel actually is coming out of my tank if you look at the little stream, so it's no surprise that I had problems. There was just stuff clogged in the filter. Right now, while the tank is draining, we're scrubbing the fuel filter clean because I can't find a replacement one yet. My goal is to move into my own slip under my own power.
So look at all this dirt. Big things. Like this.
My engine's running! After about half a day of fiddling around with the engine, got it going again, and I motored out of my slip to move into my own real slip that I definitely have to pay for because I'm going to be attached to the dock. Tomas was my line handler, which was really nice because often I'm used to coming into docks by myself, where I'm both the line handler and the boat driver, and that can get a little bit stressful. This went pretty smoothly, and now my boat is safely and happily on its own slip with a functional engine, so all's well that ends well, I would say. Bocas, still in the future. All of the drone shots and any of the shots that are of me and not taken by me were taken by Tomas with his drone and his super nice camera recording equipment, so thank you for letting me use all of that stuff. Also, you guys should totally check out both of their channels. They're both really badass sailors, and if you like what I do, I think you'll also like what they have going on. So I've put links in the description of this video to their YouTube channels and also to their Instagram accounts so that you can check them out on there, and chances are you'll probably be seeing more of them throughout my South Pacific crossing, hopefully, if all goes according to plan. Thank you guys for watching. I put out new videos every 2 weeks on Mondays. Thank you guys for all of your lovely comments that you write on all my videos, and I also wanted to point out a big thank you to your patience with the audio problems that I've been having. I am having trouble with my software. I edit it and it sounds great on the software, and then when it gets converted somehow in the process, the clips that I muted on my voiceovers become unmuted and the sound levels get all funky. But when I'm in the States, I'm hoping to buy a laptop that I can put some decent video editing software on, so hopefully the quality of that should improve because it bums me out too, because I put a lot of effort into making these videos for you guys every week. So thanks for sticking with me through these troubles, and hopefully one day we'll be able to remember them fondly. If you want to see more of what I do, I also have an Instagram account @BoatLizard. You can follow me for a couple times a week. I post photo updates and stories of what I'm doing on there. I have a Patreon account, patreon.com/windhippie, if you want to support me on there. Thank you so much to everyone who's already supporting me. You guys are awesome. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Tish, for putting these videos onto YouTube for me. Thank you guys for watching this week, and I'll see you in 2 weeks with another